Hi guys, my name is Patricia and welcome back, looking at my cat over there, to my channel. And as again, I am in my house coat. This used to be my honey's favorite house coat, and it's mine. It's over 9 years old. And the reason you're seeing me in this house coat is because I've not gotten dressed yet. But it's been raining all day yesterday and I'm off, so I'm just at home. So I just decided to stay in my night clothes with my house coat. So I hope it doesn't bother you, but that's who I am. Anyway, I wanted to do this video because it's one of the things that I do, and then it's one of the things I like to share because it's got a lot of benefits to it, and a lot of people can make it complicated, and it's not. And it's Milk Keiffer, and I hope I'm pronouncing it right because that's what I call it, Milk Keiffer. And that's a pre and probiotic milk or dairy drink, or you can make whey with it, which is very beneficial as well. There's a lot of things you could do with Milk Keiffer, and today I'm not going to show you all those things, and I might do a series and show you how to do whey later, but basically what I'm just showing you is I need to start getting back into drinking it, and I had it in storage. And when you're not making it every day like you do sourdough, you could store it in your refrigerator even with the grains in it. And my camera on the stand is not that great, so I hope you can see all this. This is my Milk Keiffer and my grains. I didn't take the grains out before I put it in the refrigerator, and it's been in the refrigerator probably for about a good month. You necessarily don't want to leave it in there for a month, but life happens and I haven't used it. I've been caught up in doing sourdough, and I do a lot of things. I have been doing sourdough, Milk Keiffer, kombucha, many years ago before it even became popular, even before it became second ferments. And I still do not second ferment my Milk Keiffer. I could, and I have done it, but on a regular basis. I don't do the second ferment or the flavored Milk Keiffer that you see in the grocery stores, like blueberry, strawberry. You could do any kind of fruit if you want to. There's benefits to doing a second ferment. They say that it adds more B vitamins. It can mellow it out and not be as tart, but I've gotten used to drinking it without flavoring it. But it also makes it a little fizzy. And when I'm drinking Milk Keiffer, I save my fizziness for my sodas, or my probotic sodas, or my kombucha, and things like that. Milk Keiffer is just like buttermilk. I've made buttermilk before. So there's a lot of cultures, and I like to drink things that are beneficial. A lot of health benefits to Milk Keiffer. A lot of vitamins, helps with, of course, your stomach. It helps with blood sugar levels over time. Just do your research on it. And I just want to do this video on a Saturday. I have a lot of content that I want to share with you guys, so I'm just trying to do things as I go along and explain it just a little bit how I do it, and why I just have to make it simple for me. And there's a lot of people that just, because it's like sourdough or anything else. There's tons of videos out on YouTube, a lot of information out there. And since you're already watching my channel or you're coming to my channel, I just want to show you what I do. So one thing about Milk Keiffer grains, and I do not wash them between feedings. I don't rinse them with water. I keep them in milk, because rinsing your grains or stuff like that just weakens them, and they will feed off the milk. In fact, I actually have 2 different batches of Milk Keiffer. I keep a backup in case something happens to my grains, because the grains will grow and double over time. And then you'll have, because you need to portion out your grains for how much milk. I usually ferment, this is a weck jar. I usually pour milk about here, because it's just me drinking it. And usually it'll ferment within 24, depends on how weak your grains are, 24, so it could go up to 48 hours sitting outside on the counter without being refrigerated. And mine has gotten so good that it doesn't separate. Now, if you leave it out too long on your counter, the whey and the milk and the grains will separate, and then you'll have to keep stirring it. So I don't let it get that far. If I want whey, I'll strain the grains, and then I'll take the kefir, I'll save some of it to drink, and then I'll put some in a strainer and make like a whey cheese or a kefir cheese. and save the whey to use dual purposes. You'll get a kefir cheese, like a cottage cheese, And then you'll also get a kefir whey that you could use to make probiotic sodas or for animals, plants. It's just a natural benefits. And I might put some links down there that'll tell a little bit about the benefits of whey and the benefits of milk kefir, because that's not really what this video is. It's not for me just to talk to you about all the benefits, but there's a lot of side projects, a lot of side products that you could have having the grains in your home. And you still have to take care of them like you do a starter. But like I said, I keep it in my refrigerator, and since it's been in the refrigerator for about a month, I'm not going to drink this. You can give it to your animals. It's beneficial to your dogs, cats, chickens, pigs, whatever. So if you have a lot of kefir that you're not using, instead of throwing it down your drain, if you have animals, you could give it to them. It is sour. You can mix a little regular milk with it or something to get them to drink it, especially if they don't like the sourness. Or put it in their food, or I wouldn't suggest putting it in their water, but something like in a milk base. So anyway, this is one that I've had that's got the grains in it that I let ferment, and I decided I didn't need it right then, so instead of straining the grains out and starting another batch, I decided to keep the grains in here, let them feed off the sugars and stuff in the milk even longer, and keep it. Now I do have another jar because your grains will multiply. And these have been in the refrigerator too long too, so I'm going to strain this off. It's actually gotten thicker. You can't really see it's a white jar. And they need to be fed. I keep these as a backup, and I don't drink this. I just strain it, and then actually you can probably put this on your plants. I think there's benefits to that too, just so look that up. But we're going to strain it and just fill this all the way up with milk. And this is my backup, and I'll show you the grains. In fact, I'll do this one first. I do have a bowl. It's like this video I can't move my camera any down lower, so I'm picking it up. This is a glass bowl so you can see. And I'm one-handed because I'm holding it. And when I'm straining, you don't want a lot of metal. It's like sourdough or any fermented food. This is a mesh metal strainer. And I use you can use wood, or I'm using just a regular spatula, and I'm going to strain it and separate the grains from the milk. So let me open this, because this is my backup. You always want to keep backup. That's with any kind of sourdough starter, kombucha, milk kefir, because you never know what's going to happen. Maybe you can see it. I was going to send back a little bit here. Maybe turn the phone around just a little bit. I hope you can see it. It's got the strainer in the bowl. So this is how thick it is right now. Even just sitting in milk, it's already thickened. It's already used a lot of the good stuff in the milk because it's sitting there. Usually, if I'm storing the grains in the refrigerator just so I can have backup, they usually say once a week change your milk out. But these grains are healthy. They're versatile. And like I said, they've been in there for a month. And actually you'll see, I don't know if you can see, I'll get a spatula, and it's really, I'm going to get it out so you can see, really thick, because it started using everything. It's not gone bad. It doesn't have no hooch on it, no black, anything like that. But I'm going to strain it, and then I'm going to show you what the grains look like. Now these, like I said, are my backup grains. And what I could do, you can rinse this jar out and reuse it, or you can just put it back in the jar. So let me come over here so I'm closer. I'm going to strain it first, and I'm going to show you the grains. Okay, so I'm straining it. See, it's coming through the strainer. I don't want to make a mess. But they don't really thrive if you don't change the milk out within like a week or two. They will use everything available because that's what they're feeding off of. That's the yeast and the whatever that makes the grains. But they will get bigger in this jar. Like now I got enough grains in this to really actually separate, because the size jar I told you depends on how much you're making. You will go through the milk. And I'm going to lift it up, put the bowl underneath here. I'll show you what the grains look like. Sort of looks like cottage cheese, a very thick cottage cheese. And there's quite a bit. I actually, if I was to separate this, and this is my backup, I would have enough. If I separated this, I could still fill that quart jar up and maybe another quart jar and have 2 batches. But right now I don't need all this grain, but I don't want it to lose. If it ever, it'll keep doubling and it'll keep growing, and I actually might give some to somebody that's really interested in Milk Keiffer, just for them to start. And all it is just milk. I like to use a whole milk. I think there's different ways you could do like plant-based milks with Milk Keiffer. I don't know. I don't do a lot of plant-based milks. I like to do whole milk, even though it's got a lot of sugar. But actually the grains for me do better with whole milk. I don't use skim or 2% or anything like that. So I'm going to put the grains. This is my backup. I'm going to put the grains back in here. Right? I like to use organic whole milk. And since if this has been in there for a couple of months, well, at least a month, I'm going to fill it all the way up with the milk. I'm going to shake it. And this one, I'm going to keep in the refrigerator until I need to feed it again. I'm trying to find the lid, what I did with it. Like I said, I have a lid, just a regular lid. It doesn't need to have any air. It just needs to be shooken up really good so it can incorporate with the milk. And this again will probably stay back in my refrigerator for another month, but it's got fresh milk, fresh sugars to feed off of. And it stays at a colder temperature in the fridge so it will ferment slower. Now, since I don't really need this, I don't have any animals right now with the kefir that I've strained off that backup. I'm going to dump it. Ooh, I know it's a wasteful, but I could probably strain it and get some whey off of it, but I am going to use another batch to do whey with. Okay, this is a jar, and I usually put a coffee filter and a rubber band when it's sitting outside the refrigerator. I'll put like a coffee filter, a piece of cloth to keep the bugs out. And it needs air when it's growing and it's trying to thicken, because I really like a thick kefir. Some people don't want it. To me, like I said, it's not sour anymore, or I've just gotten used to it, or it's because my kefir is it's aged or it's got more established. To me, it doesn't get as sour as it did when you're first starting with a new batch. And I will send a link where you can actually buy the Milk Keiffer grains if you don't have any access locally. So I'm still going to use my strainer again. But this I'm going to let sit at room temperature, and it'll be another day or two, and then I'm going to drink it a little bit every day. So this is my Milk Keiffer. This is my regular one. I also will put the link to these jars too. I really like weck jars for ferments and doing things like this. They're not only functional, but they're pretty too. So I'm going to strain it again like I did the first one. And usually, like I said, I'm only straining it, the one I plan on drinking, that's like every 24 to 40 hours. The other one just stays in the refrigerator for a week or 2 weeks. I wouldn't go no longer than a month though. Depends on how cold your refrigerator is. But even the one that I had in the refrigerator I plan on drinking has doubled. I won't say it's doubled. It's grown. So, and I'll show you how pretty they are. And you know that they're healthy when they're nice and white. Like I said, you don't want to rinse these with water. If you want to rinse them off and just store them in milk, if you just have to, I would rinse them with milk. Some kind of milk. So I got quite a bit. And I'm going to put them back in the jar, like so, because I need to start drinking this. I usually drink it twice a day. I'll drink a little bit morning and night. It does help with inflammation. It does help, like I said, with sugar, and it's also good for the gut. It's one of those things that you can't really get any better than Milk Keiffer with trying to. So I got those in there. Then what I'm going to do is I don't need a lot to drink before I make a new batch. And sometimes it depends like that many grains, it's going to eat through that milk pretty fast, eat the sugar. So it might take it won't take as long to ferment. The more milk you have to do in relation to size, like a tablespoon of grains to, if I just had a tablespoon, you could go up, I'll show you how far I go up on my jar. I gotta get a new milk thing. So, and you could combine different gallons. Again, just for me, I'm gonna take my trusted spatula and I'm gonna stir it. There's things that you could add Prebo Plus to help thicken it, to mellow it out even more, but that's also on the site I'm going to share with you that you could get the grains from. And she's done Milk Keiffer for many, many years and all the benefits. So I'm going to give you stuff to do some research on. So I'm going to stir it. It's all stirred up. Hold on for a minute. Guys, I found it. You could put a cloth, like one of those little caps you see with sourdough on the top. But sometimes I just like to use a coffee filter. This is an unbleached coffee filter. I'm going to put it over there. Put a rubber band on it like so. And maybe tomorrow night or maybe the next morning. Not this coming morning, but what, Sunday morning? No, maybe Monday morning. It will be, you could tell when it's ready to strain, is when you shake this. See how loose it is? When it's ready to be strained into a drink, this will thicken. And mine, like I said, does not separate into whey anymore. If you let it sit too long on your counter, it will separate. So I always check it every day, and I'll tilt it to see how thick it is. Because you want it, I won't say store quality, but I don't like just drinking a loose. If I'm going to drink it as a drink, I want it thicker. So you just keep checking it, watching it. When it gets thick and it's not separated, it's a play, you know. You have to play with it because you want to get to that sweet spot. And if it's new grains, it might take several times of fermenting it to get it the way you know it and recognize how you want it. And you could taste it too. So anyway, I'm going to put this on my dresser in my bedroom, away from any other ferments. There's a thing about fermented foods, like if you're doing kombucha or sauerkraut or sourdough, you don't want to keep different types of ferments really close together because of the cultures and the yeast in the air. They can cross a little bit, and they don't do as well when they're really close together. So keep them a little separated. And like if you do sourdough, I got this one in my bedroom. I'll have sourdough on my kitchen counter. If I'm doing kombucha, I'll have it on my dining room table. I just don't want to see it back to back. That's just me. For many years of doing it, I've learned that for the best, healthiest ferments, you want to keep them a little separated. So that's all I'm going to show you today. It's a longer video than I planned on doing, so it's not going to be a short. But I'm not going to really edit this. I might put a thumbnail. But I want to talk about Milk Keiffer because it's one of the best, healthiest nutrient ferments you could drink. If you only had to do one ferment, I could get into making yogurt. I've done that before, my own yogurts. I made sauerkraut fermented foods. So there's a lot of benefits. It's just whatever you have time for, whatever you're passionate about, whatever you're drawn to, because it could get overwhelming. You could feel like maybe everybody's doing all these different ferments and you have to do everything. And I've learned over the many years, it's all about you and what you need, what's best for you. And not to copy anybody else, because if you get too much or too overwhelmed with doing too much, something's going to fall off the wagon, right? So you're going to lose interest, or it's going to just be too much. So, and you can take them in stages, like a couple of months I do Milk Keiffer, I want to keep it in my refrigerator. Then I'll do a baked bread once a week. The other time I'm drinking Milk Keiffer. The other times I'm drinking my probotic soda. So it just depends on what you want to do for your health. So with that being said, and I've talked long enough because I get yucky, and I'm just sharing this. So if it helps somebody, thumbs up. leave a comment, subscribe, share. I really appreciate your support. Not only does it help me a little bit, but I think it gets the word out, and YouTube people pick it up and share it with others. So that being said, I really appreciate it. Milk Keiffer. The next thing that you're stunning. It's got different, one last thing, the different ferments you do produces different prebiotics and probiotics. The pre and probiotics in Milk Keiffer are a little bit different than kombucha. They're a little bit different than sourdough. They're a little bit, and you know, it just goes hand in hand. So you could do all of those if you want to, or you could do one thing or two things, or change it up. Do whatever works best for you. You. Sorry about that pointing. But do whatever works for you. And I'm going to let you go. And God bless you. Until next time.